Thank you very much for having me. Normally, this presentation would have been done by Andre Boulet, who is our founder and chief scientific officer. I've joined Devonian Health Group, Canadian-based botanical company in in early September. So bear with me if you have any question related to the science behind the product. If I can't answer them, I will certainly bring it up with Andre, and we'll provide some answer for you shortly. So next slide, Roger, if you can. Thank you. Oh, wrong presentation. Next. Next. Okay, Devonian is a Canadian leader in the botanical drug development, operating under the US FDA regulations. Our first lead product candidate was named Thykamine. It is a novel anti-inflammatory drug that's targeting unmet medical needs in inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. And shortly, I will demonstrate to you how we were able to develop a pipeline within this one drug that we've developed. Really, the heart and soul of Devonian relies on the innovative technology platform that resides in our state-of-the-art facility. It's all supported by worldwide patents, trade secrets, and backed by an experienced management team, not only with expertise in conducting clinical trials, but also bringing drugs to market. We consider ourselves a late-stage biopharmaceutical company, as Thykamine is really now ready to move to phase 3 trials in adult and phase 2 pediatric for mild to moderate atopic dermatitis. For those of you who don't know, the atopic dermatitis global market size is currently at about $11.8 billion US, and we expect to see this market double by 2026. While pharmaceutical is our main focus, Devonian is also engaged in developing cosmeceutical products, and we have discovered and developed a novel antioxidant named arspinazone, a product that is ready to go to market in 2023 under the brand name Pure Genesis. This product will be marketed in medical spa, derm clinics, by distributors in both Canada, US, and the Arab Emirates. We expect to generate revenues with Pure Genesis starting in 2023. The company primary objectives would always be product research and development. Of course, we will scout for potential partners to license out our products for commercialization purposes, and with big pharma with a global footprint. Next slide. So that's one exactly. Nope. This previous one. Sorry.
This one, next one.
There was a previous one that it's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, so let's talk about. Oh,
sorry.
You're there. No, up. Exactly. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about Thykamine. The code name for Thykamine was Pure 0110. And the drug is targeting several inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. It's really extracted from organic baby spinach, but we can extract the product from any green leaves type product, but we've elected to use organic spinach because we have a reliable supply chain with a producer based in the US. The lead indication for our products is mild to moderate atopic dermatitis. We have proven efficacy and safety results in phase 2 clinical study that supports the potential for Thykamine to be a first-line therapy treatment, and we're now ready to move to phase 3. We also looked at additional dermatological and inflammatory disorders like hand-and-foot syndrome that's associated with chemotherapy, and radiodermatitis, again, that's associated with radiotherapy with cancer patients. Some of the key upcoming events that we'll attend is our phase 2 clinical adult atopic dermatitis studies will be featured in a peer-reviewed journal in a special edition related to atopic dermatitis. We'll also be presenting Andre Boulet, our CSL, will be presenting at the 6th Dermatology Drug Development Summit in Boston this coming this coming November. And we'll initiate a phase 2 clinical trial in pediatric population starting in Q1 of 2023. Next. So let's look at Thykamine. We consider Thykamine to be a best-in-class potential. It is really a pipeline within a product, as we believe a real opportunity for a product to treat several autoimmune and inflammatory diseases. This was clearly proven with the result posted in our phase 2A clinical trials in ulcerative colitis and phase 2 trial in adults for mild to moderate atopic dermatitis eczema. So we had compelling efficacy from our phase 2 clinical studies. We know that we have a fast onset of action. The efficacy of our product was similar to the biotech products issued from chemical syntheses. We had a positive effect on pruritus associated with atopic dermatitis, which is a real challenge, with people suffering from eczema. I think I've lost my, there you go. We have a side effect similar to placebo. We expect to be approved for long-term use, which is not the case for many of the medication currently available at the moment. And we know that we'll have an expected high acceptance within the pediatric patient population. As mentioned, in our R&D relies on botanical drug regulation. So allow me to take you to Thykamine journey, what we call our journey from farm to farm. Next slides. Next one. Thank you. So our unique proprietary technology is protected by numerous patents, industrial secrets, and it allows us to not only extract, but purify and stabilize components from plants. We deliver Thykamine, our novel anti-inflammatory drug. With Devonian's expertise and knowledge, we were able to establish a pharma-grade supply chain, allowing for full traceability from the seed to the pill. It's important to mention that Thykamine can technically be extracted from different green leaves, but we have chosen organic spinach because of our ability to secure a supply chain from a reliable grower. Next slide. Next slide. You see our facility located in Montmagny, Quebec. Our extraction facility we consider as one of the few buildings in North America when we can bring a plant from the outside, which is considered quote unquote dirty, and process it to the end up with almost a sterile product in the art of the building. We have a supply agreement with Earthbound in California, which is one of the largest organic grower in North America, the largest grower of spinach for sure, with over 300 farms across the USA. As mentioned earlier, we established at Earthbound full traceability from seed to pill, and the FDA had told us that we are amongst leaders when it comes to traceability with these processes in place. As I've mentioned as well, we have patents for the extraction process itself, but also for Thykamine in various usage. As we progress in the development of Thykamine, we continue to file for more patents, and the most recent patent granted was for a cardiovascular application. We currently have one full set of equipment in our facility to do three extraction per week. Each extraction yields 92 kilograms of Thykamine powder, and 1 kilogram of Thykamine supplies 1 million tubes of 50 gram. We can scale up to 3 full sets of equipment, which will allow us to manufacture well over 37 billion tubes of 50 gram. Now let's look at some of the studies that we've conducted. And the first one, the phase 2A study, proof of concept study in ulcerative colitis. Next slide. Nope. Okay, it's not the same order. Okay, so look, if we look at if you look at our phase 3 trial preparation, atopic dermatitis in adults, we're ready to go for phase 3. We've completed our phase 2, as mentioned before. We are ready to go to a pediatric phase 2 trial in Q1 of 2023. And we're also going to look at two additional indications for our drugs with ened foot syndrome and radiodermatitis. and the last one being, completed the phase 2A studies with ulcerative colitis, and we would look for partners to continue the development of Thykamine in ulcerative colitis, to move it to phase 3 at one point, but the funding will be necessary. Significant funding will be necessary to get to that point. Next. I think you're using the old presentation. You're not using the one that I've sent you with 19 slides. So continue. Okay. So let's look at the mechanism of action. And we believe that we have the global inflammatory market is 130 billion, will be 130 billion by 2026. And we will be targeting with Thykamine multiple indications. We already know that we're very active in atopic dermatitis, but we could also look at psoriasis, gastrointestinal enterology with ulcerative colitis, phase 2A studies. We think that the drug could have an impact in rheumatoid arthritis. And of course, we know that we will soon start the trials to get an indication for radiodermatitis and hand and foot syndrome. And lastly, but surely, we have other applications in terms of different anti-inflammatory diseases. Next. So why have we focused on dermatology? We know that, or on botanical, we know that the next wave in pharmaceuticals, are going to be coming from botanical. There's new specific FDA regulation. The FDA has already approved a number of plant-based drugs. There's more than 800 new drugs, IND and pre-IND, that have been requested in the past years. The benefits of our drugs relative to chemical synthesized drug is faster preclinical development, a robust clinical program, benefits of a botanical complex over single chemical molecules. We will get a DIN designation the same way as traditional drugs are approved. The path to approval is less costly, and we could get up to 5 years of market exclusivity in US and in Canada as well, with or without a patent. And we know that the drug is difficult and almost impossible to copy. So the generic entries are nearly impossible in this category. Next. So we will focus our target in areas of high value areas such as atopic dermatitis, which impacts 15 to 30% of children. We believe that we could get a leadership position opportunity, especially in pediatric. We know that the market is $21 billion by 2026. Ulcerative colitis is again affecting about 2% of the population. And in the US, it's a $10 billion market. Radiodermatitis and hand and foot syndromes, there is currently no effective topical therapies to treat these conditions. And we believe that we'll have a leadership position opportunity once we complete our phase 2 trials. 95% of patients treated by radiotherapy will get radiodermatitis. 60% of people treated for breast cancer and colon cancers, are afflicted by hand and foot syndrome. We know that the combined estimated market for these two indications are about $2.5 billion. And most of the products that are being used to treat these conditions are stemming from the OTC kind of marketplace. And there's nothing that's really effective to treat the conditions. Next. When we look at Thykamine, mild to moderate adult dermatitis represents 90% of the total eczema or atopic dermatitis market. There's 192 drugs in various stages of development. At the end of December, 14 drugs were in phase 3 trial, 68 drugs were in phase 2 clinical trials. We are now, 3 currently are under investigation for mild to moderate, and we're talking about the PAC 14028, Rhinestone with the SHR 0302, and of course Thykamine, which is our drug, our own drug. Next. We know that mild to moderate atopic dermatitis is clearly an unmet medical need. Over 90% of patients claim that the current products that they use are ineffective. Topical continues to be the mainstay to treat the mild to moderate atopic dermatitis, namely the topical corticosteroids. Emollient and sedative antihistamine need to be used conjunctively with current therapies. And there's still major side effects or warnings, with the current therapies, whether it be the topical corticosteroids that cause side effects such as thinning of the skins, the Alidel product by Bosch Health, which is really has a black box warning and has been genericized for the past year. And lastly, Eucrisa, which causes itching and burning at the application site. When we compare Thykamine to these drugs, we know that we have an expected similar efficacy profile. We know that the product can be used without any moisturizers or antihistamine. In our trial, we have proven that. And we expect, of course, a faster onset of actions and no need of major side effect as seen in our phase 2 trial. Our side effect profile was equal or better than placebo. Next. So let's look at the anti-inflammatory potential and the multiple indications for Thykamine. Next. In our phase 2 trial, which is a double-blind study against, we've tested three different dosages of Thykamine: 250 milligram in ulcerative colitis, 500 milligram, and 1,000 milligram in ulcerative colitis. You could see here that our drug showed very good results in green. If you can see green, after day 21, we've met the. Let me just refresh this 2 seconds. We've completed the phase 2 proof of concept with Thykamine, and we administered to patients in mild to moderate ulcerative colitis. The objective of the short study was mainly safety, but we had efficacy parameters as well. The study results demonstrate that the Thykamine is safe, but what truly caught the attention of the investigators, and regulator was the efficacy result. More so, a short period of time and with statistical significance, as seen in the graph on the right-hand side here. We could see it, that the efficacy of the drug after 21 days was far superior than placebo. Next slide. As part of our phase 2 trial, we measured many biomarkers, and it demonstrated that Thykamine has a major effect on inflammatory biomarkers within a short treatment period. It confirmed Thykamine has a positive effect on ulcerative colitis, specific biomarker, but also the general inflammation biomarkers. I would like to draw your attention to the first two, the CRP and the HC-CRP. The data was the foundation for the most recently awarded patent for cardiovascular application. Biomarkers were decreased by 80% compared to baseline. The result basically set the stage for other application, and that's when we embarked in a large-scale phase 2 trial in atopic dermatitis. Next slide. Our phase 2 trial was a 4-week. A phase 3 trial for the adult atopic dermatitis market was a 4-week multi-center, all-Canadian randomized double-blind vehicle control dose ranging safety and efficacy study. We use 3 concentration of Thykamine: 0.5, 0.1, and 0.25. A total of 162 patients were recruited in 13 different centers across Canada. The primary efficacy endpoint defined as a change in the baseline investigator global assessment, which is the IGA score. We could see here the green line is our Thykamine 0.1%, which showed extremely good results compared to the other 2 dosages, and even more so compared to the baseline or placebo. Thykamine 0.1% was the most effective dosage, and this is the dosage that we will carry to our phase 3 trial. Next. Again, here you could see that Thykamine reaches the primary endpoint really quickly after 14 days, 21 days, and 29 days, significantly better in the blue than the vehicle or the placebo. So Thykamine reaches the primary endpoint prior to the timeline defined in the trial. We could see that it showed, this is really showing a fast relief of symptoms in a quick amount of time. So we're looking forward to demonstrating exactly that in our phase 3 trial. Let's look at the secondary endpoint now, which is important as well. We would be remiss not to mention that Thykamine also met the secondary endpoint, and we could see this from this graph. If you look at the green line after 29 days, and this is, of course, the baseline, we could see that the drug has met its parameters in secondary endpoint, and that solidified a readiness once again to move to phase 3 trial. Thykamine demonstrated to relieve itching as well, and which is extremely important, as this is one of the major side effects of eczemas. Most people will have to use emollient or an antihistamine to take care of the itching part of the disease. As well, we can see that there was little to no major side effects with Thykamine compared to placebo. Next. So let's look at the efficacy rate similar to drugs derived from chemical syntheses. Although these were not head-to-head trials as of yet, we wanted to compare our findings with what was reported with other drugs for the same indication, and concluded that Thykamine reached the equivalent efficacy rate as any other chemically synthesized drugs. Two important notes. If you're concerned that some of the results, if you look at the numbers here, 38, 32, and 34. So let's look first at the TRP1 antagonist. We could see that an antagonist reported 38% efficacy. However, the trial period was over 8 weeks, whilst our trial was over a 4-week period. And we believe that if we had conducted our trial for the same duration, that our results would have been at least that, if not more than 38%. The other, the calcineurin inhibitors, which is over here at 34.8, showed an efficacy of almost 35. However, in this case as well, the parameters was only the IGA score of 0 to 1, and not included a decrease of 2, which was the case for Thykamine, weakening, of course, the value of their efficacy result. Next. So when we look at the efficacy and safety of Thykamine, we certainly demonstrated the efficacy and safety of the product in 2 distinct therapeutic indications. One, atopic dermatitis. We showed fast onset of action. Primary endpoint were met earlier. The impact on symptoms, primary, secondary efficacy endpoint met after 4 weeks of treatment. There were no serious adverse event, and we know that we are now ready to move to phase 3 trial. In ulcerative colitis, we showed fast onset of action, impact on symptoms after only 14 days of treatment, no serious adverse event, a decrease in inflammatory and disease biomarker, and the feasibility conducted a far larger sample size in phase 2B study once we get the appropriate funding. The anti-inflammatory efficacy and safety of Thykamine was demonstrated in 2 distinct therapeutic indications and 2 different mode of administration. One was, of course, the cream, and the other one was an enema in the case of ulcerative colitis. Next. So we believe we're all in place to go from farm to farm. We have a unique extraction process and methodology backed by patent and industrial secret. We have Thykamine, which is an outstanding anti-inflammatory effect with proven results in 2 different indications. We have proven the efficacy success rate in atopic dermatitis compared to chemically synthesized drugs. We know we're ready for phase 3, which will set the stage for a global market entry. We will have a DIN application, and the reimbursement status of our drug will be comparable to traditional drugs. So let's see how we can unblock the multi-billion-dollar market for Thykamine. Next slide. Next. So how do we maximize the high value market? We will certainly look at atopic dermatitis. Again, this is a problem that affects 15 to 30% of children, as stated before, and it's a $22 billion market by 2026. Currently, about $11.7 billion. So the market is genericized and is consisting most specifically of topical corticosteroid and calcineurin inhibitors, mainly Elidel, which is estimated to be stable now at 2.5 billion. You know, just as an example, Eucrisa, which is a Pfizer drug, was acquired in a deal with Anacort worth $5.2 billion. Pfizer estimated the peak annual sales for that drug to be $2 billion. So again, next. We think we have all the right ingredients for success, a unique position in North America botanical pharmaceutical drug development. We have a faster economical preclinical development process. 3, we have Thykamine as an outstanding anti-inflammatory effect with proven results in 2 indications. 4, near-term value creation opportunities for large pharma. Lastly, a management with solid track record of execution. Thank you for your attention, and I open the floor for some questions.
Thank you, Pierre, for the presentation. And does the slide capture all the slides you intend to?
Yeah, and in fact, you had more slides than we've used a previous deck. Roger, okay. That's not a problem. You know, okay.
Yeah,
it made my life a little more complicated, but that's okay.
Okay. So I saw you have a beautiful facility. Is that facility dedicated to your product, or
yes.
You also use the facility for other companies' production?
No, we only use it for our product. That's where we produce our clinical trial, products, so again, we use a very small percentage of that facility. We could easily triple the we could scale it up, like I said, to produce significantly more, but right now we're only using it to produce our clinical trial products.
Great. I know others have questions. My last question is, you're applying for the US FDA Botanical Drug Regulatory filing. What is the case in Canada regulatory filing compared with the two?
It's actually very similar to the US. In Canada, we have what we call data protection. So if you're first to launch in a specific category, you get 6 years exclusivity on your drug, and if you do a pediatric trial, you could get up to 8 years of market exclusivity.
That's wonderful. Steve, you have a question?
Very, very good presentation. Excellent product. I'm willing to bet that the botanical version of a treatment for atopic dermatitis is going to be more well received than the steroids. I think there's tremendous upside potential there if indeed the product is, of course, marketed as such. Are you all working with any pharmaceutical companies in terms of positioning your phase 3 now that you're done with your phase 2?
Good question. I'll first cover the issue of I think your first question was related to we haven't really scouted the pharma business yet, okay, because we wanted to complete our phase 2 trial first, and we are now looking at a third round of financing to move to our phase 3 trial program. So we've not really approached any big pharma, but our key opinion leaders, key dermatologists, world-renowned dermatologists that were involved in our clinical trials, have all mentioned that they believe that Thykamine could replace, first-line therapy, they could replace the corticosteroids. I mean, they were very excited when they saw the results of Thykamine, and they think that, because we have a fast onset of action, because we take care of pruritus, and because because we're so safe, when you compare the results obtained against placebo, that we could be used for long term, which is, as you know, which is not the case for corticosteroids, which can only be used for 4 weeks. And like I said, the children's are the most
children,
affected
the
with
children,
the kids.
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So we think we could be, first line treatment, in the pediatric population, with Thykamine.
That's outstanding. Have you looked at eczema at all as an indication?
Well, eczema and atopic dermatitis, it's the same thing. I mean, like it's like eczema and atopic, it's like atopic dermatitis is eczema, so that would be our indication, right?
Wow, that's tremendous. Outstanding. I like your decision to go with the baby spinach, the organic baby spinach as a standardized input. I'd be very curious to work with you further. Yeah, Roger, we'll circle back to this gentleman as well. How much are you looking for your phase 3?
We are looking for, roughly, I mean, we want to do 2 phase 3, one in Canada and one in US. So we're looking between $15 to $30 million to cover the phase 3 trial.
I was thinking 18 to 30.
The reason why, Steve, we focused on dermatology is the cost of the clinical trials are far less expensive than it would be, for instance, for ulcerative colitis. An ulcerative colitis clinical trial will be $300 to $400 million easily. And so we believe that, that's basically, we're at a stage now where we're looking for additional financing to move from our phase 2 atopic dermatitis trial to move it to the phase 3. We think that the result we've obtained in our phase 2 trial would be replicated easily in the phase 3 trial with a lot more patients, of course.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Look forward to working with you more.
Same
Talk
here.
soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Question here. Do you also have a nutraceutical strategy for your product to generate revenue? I know that you're doing the skincare to generate revenue to help fund your studies, but I just wondered about that. I worked with a company years ago out of Sweden that actually used a Spanish product called thylakoids that was good for appetite control.
Okay.
The
short answer to your question is no. We haven't looked at that. We really want to concentrate on dermatology right now, and we also, as stated in my presentation, we also believe that Thykamine has an enormous potential to treat many other autoimmune and inflammatory diseases as well, well beyond dermatology, and we've proven that, in our phase 2A trial with ulcerative colitis.
Yes, well, Andre is certainly a pioneer in